Everybody's fat. Everybody is fat. Okay, guys, listen. Everyone's fat. Everybody has the potential to be fat. I wanna tell you that I love you. Good morrow, everybody. My name is Robin, also known as Sunny Side Up Gal, and you are my Sunny Side Up pal. Good morning, good morrow, and good day. And today is actually a great day because it is Fatlogical Friday.
It's Fatlogical Friday. It's Fatlogical Friday. It's Fatlogical Friday. Be-la-loo-lee-la.
If you are new here and you're like,
what is Fatlogical Friday? Me not know what that is.
Fatlogical Friday is just me on Fridays going onto Reddit and reading, scrolling through the subreddit Fatlogic, chitting and chatting and talking a lot of trash with my homies. Y'all. If you're not familiar with what even is Fatlogic, let me read you the definition. Fatlogic is anything that deviates from scientific facts of body weight management. This can range from fundamental misunderstandings of how biology and physics work to lengthy political diatribes about how everything is society's fault. Falling victim to Fatlogic means accepting misinformation that will harm efforts to keep your body at a healthy weight or lose weight if you need to do so.
So do.
Now, if this is your first time being here, thank you so much for stopping by. I really hope you consider giving me a subscribe and go ahead and like the video because everybody likes a Fatlogic Friday. Okay. If you're not new here and you're returning and you're still not subscribed, why? If you are not new here and you're returning and you're a homie and you are subscribed and possibly a member, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you. Thank you. But I think that's it. We're gonna just sit, we're gonna chit, we're gonna chat, we're gonna talk some trash about the Fatlogic folk on the internet. So again, Fatlogic is the place where fat acceptance rhetoric is found in the wild and brought to Reddit to be talked trash about. And I like it. And I love it. And I want some more of it. I tried so hard. I can't rise above it. To be so for real. But let's begin. So I have it set to new. We're just gonna scrolly, chitty and chatty. Okay? First one. Number 1, carvation for men doing regular manual labor. They gave the men in the Minnesota carvation experience 1,560 cows. They considered 1,500 cows to be famine level carvation. No. So I'm not a scientist. I'm not, a doctor. I'm just a regular schmegular gal on the internet, chitting and chatting with my homies. And from what I gather with the Minnesota carvation project, they were put on like a semi-carvation diet of 1,500 cows. However, I think that's just like poor wording because technically you're not carving at 1,500 calories. It's just a deficit. So I mean, when did they do that? What year was the Minnesota carvation project? Let's look it up. I typed in carvation project. All right, 1944 to 1945. The human study led by Ansel Keys, which I have an issue with Ansel Keys. I hate him. We can discuss this later, but just in a nutshell, I blame him for the reason why Americans fear dietary fat and eat a shit ton of sugar. That's, what. We can do this another time.
Science is a liar sometimes.
We can do this another time, okay? We're not discussing Ansel Keys. We're discussing the carvation project, okay? The Minnesota carvation experiment was a landmark 1944 to 1945 human study led by Ansel Keys.
Bitch.
At the University of Minnesota, it examined the physical and psychological impacts of severe semi-carvation and tested effective dietary rehabilitation strategies to help carving civilians and famine survivors. Okay. The crazy thing is that we know now that 1,500 calories is not severe semi-carvation. That just seems so strange to me. The Minnesota experiment used roughly 1,500 to 1,800 calories per day to induce prolonged semi-carvation in a specific group of young men whose normal intake was around 3,200 calories. And they also had to walk 20 miles a day, I believe. A day, that's crazy. 22 miles per week. So from what I'm understanding, it was an induced carvation protocol. So it's not really 1,500 cows is not carvation. We know that. Nobody who's on a 1,500 calorie, daily intake is clearly not carving, right? We know this. We know what carving looks like. Exactly. You know exactly what it looks like. The biggest problem with this Fatlogic excerpt, they considered 1,500 cows to be famine level carvation. They did not. It was a range of cows, but also every body is different. And so like there's no like actual number to cut off what is starvation. 1,500 cows could be maintenance for somebody, and 1,500 cows could be weight loss for somebody. You know what I mean? So it's oversimplified, and I think that the fat acceptance community likes to do that. Like they like to tell, I don't want to just come off the bat and just be like, they like to lie, but they like to tell like half truths. Like they did do the experiment with 1,560 cows, but it was a mental and physical science experiment, basically. Like yes, half correct. They did use 1,560 cows. However, you can't, there's no number. There's no perfect number or even a range. You know, there's no particular number or range that is considered famine level starvation. I believe, from my understanding, can we generalize and be like, if it's under like 1,000 cows, sure, yes, we can generalize. But the whole Minnesota starvation, they bring up, the fat acceptance community brings up the Minnesota starvation experiment often, and it's just, and they're like,
1,500 cows. If you eat under 1,500 cows, then you're eating like a person in a famine.
and that wasn't the goal of the experiment. The study was not asking what happens if you eat 1,500 cows. The study was asking what happens to a healthy person when you reduce their cows resembling a famine, so they're eating famine foods, and how do you rehabilitate them after. The diet was deliberately made to resemble the kinds of food in war-torn Europe, like potatoes, turnips, rutabagas,
Somebody get these beggars out of here!
dark bread, and macaroni. From what I'm reading, I'm not, from what I am gathering my information as a layperson, the study wasn't trying to figure out what's starvation. The study was trying to figure out how do you rehabilitate somebody who has lost a shit ton of weight from famine. Did they carve these people? I don't think so. I think it was just a calorie deficit, because it wouldn't really be ethical to like actually carve people. People in famine, they actually, I'm sure, are eating much less than 1,500 calories. Let's chime in. Actually, let's move on and just chime in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the 1,500 cows? Because I think that's a little, they're oversimplifying it. They really are. That was so long.
Man, that took forever.
Okay, once again, villainizing people with E followed by the letter D, and misattributing the cause to hating fat people. Okay. My take on heroin chic being back is that, first of all, heroin chic is not back. Nobody wants that. Nobody really wants that. More than half, 72% of the United States is obese or overweight. And we're all just trying to not be that. We're all just trying to be healthier and like not have diabetes and not get heart disease, etc., etc., etc. It's not that we actually hate fat people. I'm sure some of y'all do. It's not that we are so afraid of fat people that we don't want to be fat. It's literally that being obese harms your body. Is that people who always had beating recorders started to freak out and get triggered by GLP-1s being so widely distributed. Being skinny isn't special anymore, and there's no control or social power in it when it is so accessible within a class of people, so it's pushing people to whatever the limit is to be the most thin. Being skinny isn't special anymore. They're acting like being obese is like a rare trait. You are a gem if you are obese, when in reality, everybody's fat. You know what I mean? So technically I don't think that being skinny is like technically special, but like being skinny or being at a healthy weight is not as common as being obese. Also, internalized white supremacy that equates beauty with being frail and weak, not taking up space, and the big one, how much your body resembles that of a little girl. I need to find this person. If I lived in a time where this was appropriate, I would find this person and I would throw rotten tomatoes at them. And I don't condone violence, so that seems pretty okay, right? I hate this. I hate this so much. First of all, I don't like the white supremacy thing, because in 2026, I can understand how, and this was brought up to me in one of my comment sections from the past, but I can understand how race and fat phobia can intertwine, right? Like you back in the day. But in 2026, everybody is affected by obesity. I don't think it has to do with, I don't think that if you want to lose weight, that's internalized white supremacy. I think that obesity is a medical condition that needs to be addressed ASAP. And like, if you want to lose weight, that is not internalized white supremacy. Also, white supremacy being frail and weak, like if we're gonna really dig deep on the white supremacy thing, like if you go back to like, let's go back to like Yahtzee times. Let's go back to World War II. The German nationalism, they wanted strong, both sexes, strong and fertile and not whale, not whale. Well, yes, not whale, but not frail and weak. Do you know what I mean? I think that I don't know where people got this white supremacy thing I don't know where people picked frail or where they got the idea that white supremacy wants frail and weak. White supremacy wants, like, if we're, from my, again, I'm a layperson, from my understanding, like white nationalism, they want like strong, fertile people, right? I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but I'm just saying that like, I'm pointing out that their facts are incorrect. White supremacy does not want frail and weak from what I'm understanding from what I've read online. Okay. Not taking up space. And the big one, how much your body resembles that of a little girl. Again, wrong. Where somebody started this, okay, back to the tomatoes thing. Somebody started this rumor that like being thin makes you look like a little girl. And therefore all of your, if you want to be thin, you are giving into the beauty standards that were created by PDF files, and that is disgusting and offensive. First of all, PDF files, they don't want adult women. They don't care if you're thin or large. They don't want adult women. They want children that they can take advantage of, etc., etc., etc. If you see in the wild people bringing up the whole, if you want to be thin, you want to look like a child, I want you to do your best to shame that person publicly, you know, talking about how offensive that is, educate the world that this is made up. Like, that is absolutely made up, and they're using they're using the terrible experience of CSA to eat, right? And when I say they, I'm talking about the fat acceptance community. The fat acceptance community loves to use this excuse, this type of cope, as an excuse to continue to eat and live a shitty lifestyle. And they don't take into the account of others when they say things like this. They don't take into the account that like somebody who experienced CSA or someone who is experiencing CSA can see this and could be offended by that, right? They don't care. They just want to eat, you know? And I think that that's really shitty. Like, I think like it goes to show how much food addiction really can affect your mind, that you would be willing to say something like that, right? Because one, it's wrong. Two, offensive and a little disgusting. It's a little disgusting. Like, you think that because you are 250 pounds that you don't look like a child, when in reality, a lot of these like super large fat women, they dress like children. They are immature. They sometimes they are so fat that they resemble babies. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what you're talking about. You cannot have an eating disorder without propping up white supremacy, without fully accepting that your weight defines your value and that fat people are worthless. Again, with the whole white supremacy thing, I just don't. Everybody's fat. Everybody is fat. Okay, guys, listen, everyone's fat. Everybody has the potential to be fat. I think bringing in race is also just another cope. Like, if you they want to, so racism is an actual real problem, and the fat acceptance community likes to co-opt those issues and insert themselves into those issues. So like, to the point where now if you don't want to be fat, then you are racist. Does that make sense? Like, that's what I feel that they're trying to do, without fully accepting that your weight defines your value and fat people are worthless. Again, everybody is so fat. Nobody wants to be fat, everybody is so fat. Not only do we have the obesity epidemic in this country, but I think, what is it? 40%? Okay, 23% of the US adults with obesity have diabetes. So 72% of the country is either obese or overweight. Out of that, 40% are obese, and then out of that, 23% have diabetes. Conversely, about 85 to 90% of people with type 2 diabetes are overweight or obese.
Obese. Yes.
Obesity is one of the primary factors for developing the condition. So yeah, it's not a value thing. It is like, we are in an epidemic. There is a problem going on. Like, it needs to be addressed, and people need to like not be obese. This feels like it came from a mean girl. Whenever I think about this mean girl skinny culture, I remember, period. I'm so confused. Let's try again. Whenever I think about this mean girl skinny culture, I remember, period, that I've never met a fat person who didn't have a hobby. And then we have these wannabe Regina Georges whose only hobby is being skinny. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Do I have a hobby? My hobby is doing YouTube. I'm not a Regina George skinny person, but like, I think that it's projection. Like, I think that maybe this person doesn't have a hobby, right? What's your hobby, lady? Going onto Tumblr and talking shit about the obesity epidemic and how it doesn't exist? And how everybody who talks about obesity is just a Regina George mean girl? What are we talking about? I've met a lot of fat people whose only hobby was just watching videos. Is that a hobby? That's kind of like my hobby right now, though. I need a better hobby. Also, what a point of privilege, because some hobbies are expensive. So thanks a lot, fat lady. Hobbies are expensive. They can be. But yeah, the fact that it's just a generalization. I've never met a fat person who didn't have a hobby, meaning that skinny people don't have hobbies. All they want to do is just be skinny. Maybe their hobby is working out. Maybe their hobby is hiking. Maybe their hobby is something that is physically active, and that could be attributing to their size. Did you ever think about that? Non-mean girl Regina George fat person? Did you ever think about that? Let me know in the comments below what your hobbies are. And if you're skinny, just kidding. Let me know, but no, seriously, let me know what your hobbies are. Right now, I would say my hobby is I'm reading 1984. Movies. Movies is a hobby, right? I love movies. Obviously, making YouTube videos feels like a hobby, but it is also a job. I love editing. What else? Do I have any more? I don't have. Oh, I guess the thrifting and the t-shirt thing that I'm gonna be doing. That feels like, are hobbies also jobs? I just don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. As somebody who's in their mid 30s, just everything feels like a job. But I'm also having fun with it, so it feels like a hobby too. But anyway, if you're wondering about my t-shirt shop, join my membership, because I will be dropping the first drop of my t-shirts for members first, and then after, I will give access to the shop to other people. I mean, you can probably find it, but I am going to give it to members first. So if you are not a member and you want to know the name of my Depop shop, you can go join the membership for $2 a month, the link below, and check out my posts for members only, and you will find the link to my shop. Okay? Your risk is a lot lower than you think. Ooh, this is a really reedy one. Let's try. I've worked with quite a few clients lately who are under the impression that they are sick because they're fat. Yes, that's it. It's not just their weight and that the doctor is concerned about. It's that slightly elevated blood pressure, the A1C that is creeping up, the cholesterol that is higher than we like. Yes, the A1C, because type 2 diabetes is such a slippery slope, and it can snowball into more dire issues. That number is so important to pay attention to. I mean, cholesterol too, but like the A1C, like you get that A1C number, everything else kind of falls into place, right? These clients aren't paranoid. They're not worrying for no reason. Their doctors have made it very clear that they don't act now, they're going to die of a heart attack or cancer in the near future. Listen, that's facts. I had a cancer scare, and when I had my cancer scare, I had pre-cancerous lesions inside my uterus, and mommy was obese and pre-diabetic, but not anymore, and I'm no longer insulin resistant. So they're living under a dark cloud, convinced that there's something inherently wrong with them and that they're to blame. They are being told that their only option to improve chances is to eat healthier, exercise more, and lose weight. Yes, because as a species, we're not meant to be sitting all day underneath fluorescent lighting. I'm gonna be so fucking for real with you. I hate it. I wish I had a job that required me to hike. You know what I mean? Or a WWE wrestler being paid to be fit. That would be so fun, right? Plus acting and being hot and muscular and shit. The dream job, right? I love the people that I work with, but I am so tired of being at a job that requires me to sit all day in the same spot at a computer, looking at a screen all day. I come home, my eyes are like bloodshot, right? I hate that. I'm so done with it. Like, I'm so tired. Okay. We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to be active, etc., etc., etc. Could I be active? Sure. But I am also exhausted mentally, right? I hate it. But anyway, yes, that is going to improve your chances if you eat healthier, exercise more, and lose weight. If you can't exercise, which everybody should be exercising, I don't. I need to do it more. Everybody should be exercising. I plan on doing it more, etc., etc., etc. But if you eat healthier, you will lose the weight and you will improve numbers. I reverse prediabetes and insulin resistance with just diet alone and losing the weight. Okay. One of my favorite things to do when I come across this is to calculate a person's actual risk. I especially like showing them that their risk would look like if they were 100 pounds lighter. It's usually less than 5%, 0.5% difference. Lady, you is killing people. You is killing people. This is almost always followed by a look of total utter bewilderment. How is that possible? You're basically enabling people to fucking stay fat. Who is this? And take away their license. Folks, it's not just possible, it's actually pretty likely. Unless you're an 80-year-old smoker, your risk of heart attack over the next 10 years is probably not lower than you think it is. You're being made to feel like your risk is higher so that the weight loss is industrial complex. Whoa, 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 whoa. You're being made to feel like your risk is higher so that the weight loss industrial complex can profit off you. It's really that simple. Listen, now you're bringing industrial complex. Again, I've mentioned this before. I highly suggest that you go and watch 5149 with James Lee's video. I will link it. It looks like this, but about the obesity industrial complex. I think that's what it's called. Basically, big food, big pharma making Americans fat for profit and gain. And this person is trying to say that there's a weight loss industrial complex. And I'm just like, everybody's so fat. Everybody's so fat. The weight loss industry and the, I'm going to say obesity industry, the obesity industry trumps them, like towers over them in profit, y'all. Just saying. Just saying. It's really that simple. Did you know that 1 in 3 Americans meet the CDC criteria for prediabetes, a made-up condition that was rejected by a panel of international experts almost 2 days ago, or 2 decades ago. 2 days ago, that's funny. Is that true? Okay, International Diabetes Federation. Where is this based out of? Brussels, Belgium. Belgium knows their shit, okay? So the International Diabetes Federation, prediabetes or intermediate hyperglycemia means higher than normal blood glucose levels, but below the level for diabetes, often symptomless. Not true. It signals a high risk for type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Early detection is a window of opportunity to delay or prevent progression with timely support. Oh, y'all can't see that. Sorry if y'all can't see that very well. So this, I actually am a little concerned because this person is spreading misinformation, which is what we hate the most about the fat acceptance community. I'm disgusted, first of all, but the whole, a made-up condition that was rejected by a panel of international experts almost 2 decades ago. So are we just not going to believe the International Diabetes Federation? And even if you think it's like some kind of made-up thing, it's still like a risk factor. So if you have these numbers that qualify you as pre-diabetic, so I believe it's an A1C of 5.7 or higher, let's look, because we got to get our facts straight. All right, so fasting glucose of 100 to 125, an A1C level of 5.7 to 6.4, or an oral glucose tolerance test result of 140 to 199 milligrams per deciliter. So yeah, but even if it was made up, it's still a sign that you're like not on the right path, that you are running a risk of getting type 2 diabetes, which means that you're going to be sick soon. You know what I mean? It's treating. Okay, that's 1 in 3 people walking around and believing they have a disease that needs treating. Treating with what? Treating with eating less fucking sugar and carbohydrates that your body's not using as energy. And when I say carbohydrates, I don't mean fruit and vegetable. I mean, you could overdo fruit, I think. I really do think that. Listen, I'm going to be for real with you. But I'm talking about the ultra processed foods that are high in carbohydrate, or even just like bread and pasta. I think that you can overdo bread and pasta and that can cause or lead to diabetes. Okay, just being for real. With weight loss, of course. No, with dietary changes. Like with you have to change your lifestyle changes, eating less bullshit, definitely eating less sugar, drinking less sugar. I think we have a huge soda problem in this country. Do I drink soda? Yes, but it's not full sugar soda because mommy had prediabetes, okay? With weight loss, of course, weight loss will come with the lifestyle changes. When you reverse prediabetes and you fix your insulin resistance, weight does start to either like baseline and you like you maintain, or you will lose weight. You don't have to spend the rest of your life living in fear of something just so that rich people can get richer. Don't forget the free resources in the No Way website. And if you want a doctor who will tell you the truth about your risk rather than trying to sell you weight loss or recommending a bunch of lifestyle factors that have no basis in evidence, then why not book a consultation? Okay, I'm at the No Way. Yeah, that's what I thought. No Way website. And can before we everything you've been told about weight loss is a lie. Before you can even guess, who do you think made this website? The No Way website, noway.org. What kind of a person would make the claim that prediabetes is made up? Think. If you thought Dr. Asher Laramie, you would be correct. And if you're like, who's Dr. Asher Laramie? That's not ringing a bell for you? Dr. Asher Laramie is the fat doctor. Let's see if there's photos of them. Let's go to their Instagram. All right, so the fat doctor, if you're not familiar with them, a pain in the ass, for real. And so, honestly, stupid. They walked away from medicine a while back, a couple years ago, I think. People thought that they got fired. I don't think that the lore is loring, but I believe they just walked away. But anyway, they say, I'll plug in a clip of what I have from them just because I don't really. Let's listen.
He is a reform-voting, wealth-hoarding bigot who hates immigrants.
Oh, today's podcast episode is dedicated to my dad. A doctor who would not demand, oh, you know what? I'm going to do my next episode on the fat doctor. We just have to. We just have to. But anyway, so the person who wrote this was the fat doctor, Dr. Asher Laramie, who says stupid stuff like, visceral fat doesn't exist.
Oh my god, enough with the fat around the organs. That is not a real thing. It is made up.
It is made up. Hate so much. I'm so glad I found out who it was, because I don't think they have their license. So there's nothing that we can do, but we can talk a lot of shit. So please let me know in the comments below what you think about Dr. Asher Laramie. Because yuck. Misinformation. Gross. Grody. All right, 70% of the population being overweight or obese. Obese? It doesn't make it normal. It will never not baffle me how hard society tries to insist that fatness is an abnormality. It is an abnormality. Nobody is born fat or destined to be obese. Sure, bodies exist in different shapes and sizes, but nobody is meant to be like 500 pounds. Period. The average Western woman wears a plus size clothing. Yes, that's because we have changed from the 1990s. We've doubled in obesity, right? And just because it's average or that most people wear that does not make it a good thing, or that makes it normal. Like, it's not normal. We should not. Once we start going, oh, it's normal, we normalize it. We normalize obesity. We normalize early death. Okay? We don't want that. We don't want early death. We want to live a long life and live a healthy life and be able to move, etc., etc., etc. Just because the average size is 16 to 18 doesn't mean that should be the goal for everybody. You know what I mean? Unless you are a size 26, then yeah, let's get you down to a 14 or something, or a 16. But I mean, Just because, yeah, again, just because it's normal doesn't mean it's good. One of the smallest garments on the scale is called a medium. Most people with pandashrexia are in the overweight BMI category. I feel like if that's the case, then they're misdiagnosed. Like, the criteria for typical pandashrexia is like reducing to underweight. From what I'm, again, not a doctor, do your research, fact check me if I'm wrong, but if they're talking about atypical, oh, they are. Yeah, somehow that's often known as atypical pandashrexia. Okay, so if they're talking about pandashrexia, atypical pandashrexia, still, the requirement is to still have reduction in size, right? And I think a lot of people who just restrict and are like on a fringe restrict cycle, they get help or they seek help when they're in the restrictive part of their cycle, and then they get misdiagnosed as atypical pandastrexic. That's my, is it judgment? Maybe, but that's my understanding, right? So when you have atypical pandashrexia, you could be like overweight, but then you still reduce in a I'm going to say, I'm going to just talk like a regular person. You still reduce your weight in a crazy amount of time, but you just don't get to that underweight category. That's why it's atypical. Okay. You fly under the radar. Okay. Fatness is often labeled as the cause of a number of diseases, but there are literally no diseases exclusive to fat people. That doesn't mean that they're not, it's like that doesn't mean that obesity isn't a risk, right? 92% or whatever of people with type 2 diabetes are obese. I think it's okay for us to be like, the correlation is okay to assume that could be a cause, right? Like, if you were to go outside, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. If you were to go outside and everybody has an umbrella out there, except for 2 people, I think it would be safe to assume that the weather outside requires an umbrella. Does that make sense? I think that's a good analogy. If I were to go outside, or if I look outside and I see 10 people out there and 8 of them have an umbrella and 2 of them don't, I'm going to be like, I should get an umbrella because something out there is umbrella worthy. Right? Just saying. I don't know. Is that a good analogy? That's where my brain is going right now. And I like it, actually. Looking at movies and television, you'd think the world was 98% thin people. It's not. Movies and television aren't real. Movies and television aren't real. Movies and television aren't real. Dumb. My point isn't that if it was pretty rare to be fat phobia would be okay. Of course it's not. My point is that we are surrounded by all these artificial indicators that fatness is unnatural and uncommon, and it's just not true. Listen, I'm telling you as a person who is still type 1 obese, I shouldn't be. People should not be obese. We live in a world that makes it very difficult for us to live in a normal body size, but it's still possible. If I didn't do the things, if I didn't change my lifestyle changes, I would have just kept gaining weight and be like, I would probably be over 300 pounds by now. But I fucking cared, and I got a cancer scare, and I had pre-diabetes. I'm pretty sure I had type 2 diabetes at one point in my life, but I just like fixed it, right, with ketogenic diet. If I didn't change my lifestyle and I continued to eat the way that I did, I'd be a house, right? I'm saying that it's possible. It's possible to not be obese. And obesity takes effort. Like, I know it doesn't seem like that, but you have to make the choices to get, you make the choices to eat the food that makes people fat. Am I making sense? Fatness is unnatural and uncommon, and it's just not true. It is not uncommon because most people are fat, but I would say it is unnatural. You don't see animals out in the wild that are over obese or morbidly obese. Like, morbid obesity shouldn't exist, but you don't see that in the wild unless the animal has some kind of DNA thing and they have like Cushing's or something like that, right? Every animal eats the right amount to fuel their body and like keep their body at a healthy stable, whatever their requirements are to stay alive, right? And for some reason, because of the Industrial Revolution or agriculture, like humans just lost that. Like we just lost that. Now we just eat all the time, and we eat unmindfully. Like we eat in front of the TV. We're watching our phones while we eat. We eat for pleasure. We don't eat for like energy anymore. We're just eating because it's 2 o'clock or whatever, 12, right? People don't even know what full feels like anymore. And some people don't even really know what real hunger is, right? Some people just eat, they're on schedule all the time, and they're fat, and it's like you don't need to, you can skip a meal, right? And people are like, "Oh my god, Robin's telling people to skip meals." Yes. Humans weren't always meant, I don't think that we were meant to eat 3 times a day. If you have to eat 3 times a day, I'm glad for you. I want you to eat. If you can eat. But I'm saying a lot of people in the United States are insulin resistant. They don't let their insulin levels like baseline or like they don't let their blood sugar levels fall after they eat, and they just keep raising and raising. And they're just like constantly elevated with blood sugar and insulin, and that is a part of why America's so fucking fat, dude. I do believe that there is an insulin resistance epidemic alongside the obesity epidemic. We need to not eat as much, and we don't need to eat as often. Like, I really, my biggest thing is we do not need to eat as often as we do. And I'm not saying like the people who time their meals, cool. I time my meals too, but like I'm talking about the people who graze all day. Did you know that when I was in high school, somebody had told me that we were supposed to eat like cows and just graze all day? I volunteered for a diabetic, what is it? A walk for diabetes or whatever. And they were giving the same advice to people with type 2 diabetes that they would give to somebody with type 1 diabetes. So like with type 1 diabetes, a lot of people with type 1 diabetes have to keep snacks on them and all the time and yada yada yada. Like they eat like every 3 hours to keep because their insulin pump or their insulin makes their blood sugar fall too much or something like that, right? There are people who are obese with type 2 diabetes being told that they should snack every 3 hours. Like, bitch, you don't need to. You don't need to eat. Like, you've got enough storage on your body to skip lunch today. Like, and I promise you guys, this is not schmishmordered. This is like literally, if you do the research on the eating patterns and the eating habits of like, I know that we're not technically like ancient humans anymore, but like evolution really hasn't changed that much since like agriculture was invented, right? I think that we are still the same human that we were like 500 years ago or like even 2000 years ago, right? Still the same human, okay? Give or take maybe gut microbiome, maybe, and microplastics, I don't know. But like I think that humans are not supposed to be, I just don't think that we're supposed to be eating as often. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. You shouldn't be snacking. If you're snacking, if you feel like you need a snack, you're not eating enough protein or fat with your other meals, and you're not eating enough. And that's it. Humans are not always thin. Yes, humans should be normal, healthy size. Thin could be skeletal, basically. And we've never all been thin, and we're not all meant to be thin. I don't think, again, we're not cave people, but I don't think during, Jesus times or whatever, I don't think that they were like obese people. Maybe 2% or maybe 1% of the population. Like, I just don't think that people were, I really don't think. Maybe one out of like, and if they were affluent, like they were very rich or whatever, maybe royalty. The amount of fucking fat people in this country, in the United States right now, this is unheard of in history. We are the fattest we have ever been, and something needs to change. That, or we need to just evolve. Like, hurry up and evolve so that we can lose this weight while we eat shitty food or whatever. I don't know. Fat humans are a normal type of human. Fatness is a feature, not a bug. Disagree. If you are obese, you are unwell and you need to seek help and you need to get healthy and you need to eat better and you need to eat less often and you need to eat less. If you are obese, you are eating too much. Period. Okay, left under an IG reel of a lady wearing shorts after losing 300 pounds. This kind of thing is dehumanizing to people in larger bodies. Stop bragging about the weight loss. You're not any better of a person because you lost weight. You're just smaller. Let people enjoy their wins. let people enjoy their wins, you guys, okay? It's difficult. First of all, I don't really like to leave comments on people's Instagram if they're obese, unless they are spreading misinformation or they are trying to normalize obesity. Like, that's the only time where I'll be like, you need to seek help. If I do. I usually don't. I usually forward it to whoever I think needs to see it. But like, I don't think that we should comment things like this, but especially if somebody's celebrating a win, regardless of if they're going up or down on the scale. If somebody's celebrating a win, let people be happy. Let people be happy as far as wins. But if people want to normalize obesity and be like, I'm just happy, let me be happy. No. No. Because I know you're not happy, first of all. But also because normalizing obesity, I rebuke it. They scream body positivity until somebody getting healthy. Oh, until it's somebody getting healthy. How I look unfollowing a plus size baddie after they post a weight loss update. Good. Continue living in your echo chamber, and then when in 2 years when your doctor tells you have type 2 diabetes and you decide that you need to lose weight, guess what's going to happen? We're going to welcome you with open arms. I think that that's very important with this, and lovely about this community is that when people leave the fat acceptance cult, we're like, come on baby, let's get you healthy, right? Because death cult, life, okay? Death cult, living your best life in anti-fat acceptance. We cannot normalize obesity, you guys. We can't. So even if that person was a fucking asshole, if Tess Holiday was like, guys, I'm sorry, I have to lose the weight, and everybody just was like, fuck you, Tess, you're gonna lose weight now, you're no longer part of this community. Even if she was like, and this happens, even if she was like, but I still love my fat bitches or whatever, I think that the anti-fat acceptance community would still be like rooting her on. She'll probably never go anti-fat acceptance. I don't know. Maybe she's being brainwashed by the fat acceptance community and being like, this is physically harming me, and she's probably hating it. I don't know. I could dream, right? But I think that even the worst of the fat acceptance community, except for Dr. Laramie, fuck you, the worst of the fat acceptance community, I feel like we would still open them. We would still open them up. I feel like we would still welcome them with open arms. I really do. And I love that about this community. For real. For real, you guys are my homies, okay? They really hate other women. Skinny cis women acting like they're oppressed. Oh, no. I'm so oppressed, even though I'm literally the standard and people like me are valued and seen literally everywhere. Excuse me. Literally, these words could have come out of a fucking fat person's mouth. I'm oppressed even though I'm literally the standard. Yeah, 72% of the country is fucking fat. And people like me are valued and seen literally everywhere. There is an entire fat acceptance community. There's no skinny acceptance community. Not that there should be. I don't think that there should be. But like, you are seen. I go out my fucking window. I go out my window. Who's doing that? This is not Romeo and Juliet. I go out my door and I see obese people. I can't wait for the day y'all lose value in society when you start aging and gaining weight. That's not aging and gaining weight is not that is not a true statement. Like, that doesn't happen automatically. People don't just automatically gain weight when they age. I mean, technically, like if we're talking technically, yes, when you age, like from puberty, like you gain weight, you gain a little fat for like, if you're like growing into a woman or whatever. But as far as like me turning 60, I'm not going to immediately like start getting fatter and fatter and fatter. You can stop that. You can stop that by eating the right things for your body. Okay? You can stop that. This is probably my last one, but we'll see. I never realized that there was that much of a difference between fat acceptance and fat liberation. Ooh, we're about to learn. We are about to learn. First of all, I don't know why, but I love the way that this is, like, it looks like it's been cut out. I don't know. I like that. I like things like that. Okay, contemplating why I don't really care for the shift in some online circles from fat acceptance to fat liberation, and I think it's because fat liberation is meant to sound more radical, but to me, it's actually less radical. It turns the very specific demand that fat activists have been fighting for 50 plus years, an end to the denigration of fat bodies and fat people in all the ways that denigration manifests, and turns it into some sort of vague metaphor. Liberation from what exactly? Yes, exactly. Liberation for what? What are you being liberated from? Okay, I can kind of agree. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think they're trying to be liberated from? I think they're just doing that. They're just using that terminology to make it sound like they're being super duper oppressed. What are the demands here? Are we really just borrowing from other activist movements now? Yes, you have been for 50 plus years. I read in the other day, the two guys that started the fat acceptance community, the two guys whose wives were fat, and they were like, I'm tired of people being mean to my wife, yada, yada, yada. The fat acceptance movement, they called themselves refugees from diet culture. What do you mean? What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Are we really just borrowing from other fat activist movements now, even without even engaging with the specific visions of liberation that those movements are fighting for? Is that the best we can do? Yes, it is. You guys are literally the fat acceptance community, the fat liberation community. They're so unoriginal. Nothing that they have is like an original thought. So like fat phobia is co-opted from homophobia to make you feel that your fat phobia, like your dislike for fatness or fat people, is like internalized hatred, just like homophobia is, right? Anti-fatness is anti-blackness. I don't believe that in 2026. I really don't believe that. I think that was them trying to equate being anti-fat to being racist. But you can't be, if you are a fat person and you're white and someone tells you to be not fat, that's not them being racist. That's them showing care and concern for you, right? If your doctor's telling you that, okay? What was another one? There are many. Let me know in the comments below if there are many other. They also, I saw somewhere. I'll try to, if I remember to find, if I can find it. I saw somewhere that somebody posted that like fatness is queerness, because yes, I do remember it. Fatness is queerness because fatness is like not the norm. So they're trying to get into like the queer part of the LGBTQIA plus, and it's like, no, you are just fat. Like you are. This is a changeable trait that you have. Like it's not an unchangeable. Like I don't know. People hate the idea of fat acceptance because to accept fat, we would require them to confront the essential fact that thin bodies are not superior. That fat people do not deserve to be subjugated and pushed to the margins of society and killed. What? And killed through direct violence and medical neglect and special isolation. Okay, so they're talking about, okay, I was like, nobody is dragging these people to the street, but they're talking about medical neglect and medical fat bias. So like this does happen, but it's not as common as people believe. And I think the more the fat acceptance community talks about medical fat bias and like medical misinformation and that like you will be harmed by your doctor, I think that causes more fear and more people are less likely to go to the doctor because of that. Now, I experienced medical fat phobia, medical weight bias. I had severe bleeding for like over 100 days coming out my uterus, my cooterus. And my doctor told me that I probably should just do like exercise, like very vigorous aerobic exercise and lose weight, basically. Because, I mean, it makes sense, like, obesity can cause, like, heavy periods, but I knew 100 days of bleeding with, like, probably something else, so I went and got a second opinion. Not everybody's gonna do that. And the more fear that you instill that, like, if you're fat, your doctors hate you, more people are just gonna be like, I'm not gonna go to the doctor, they're just gonna tell me to lose weight. Maybe not. I went to another doctor, and they were like, this isn't a weight loss thing, this is probably cancer. And it was almost cancer, it was pre-cancer, okay? So, I think acknowledging that medical weight bias exists is okay, but the fear mongering behind it, I'm not okay with. Like, you should always add more, like get a second opinion, or don't be afraid to go to the doctor, but I guess maybe be warned, or like, I don't know, you may experience medical weight bias, but also if you have multiple doctors telling you to lose weight, like maybe you should, right? The only reason why I didn't believe this doctor when he told me to lose weight was I was already on a weight loss journey to stop the bleeding, right? And it wasn't stopping. And I think I had lost like 15 or 20 pounds, and I was just like, I was expecting something to slow down, but it was like only getting worse and worse and worse, because weight loss doesn't get rid of like polyps and shit, you know? That diets and starvation and wellness obsessions do not make you a better person or a better citizen. That the hell that thin people put themselves through to avoid ever becoming fat was, in fact, for nothing. No, because when I'm not saying thin, but healthy body sizes, when you're at a healthy body weight, your risk for type 2 diabetes almost zero. I mean, it happens to thin people or like normal sized people, but like again, I'm a insulin resistant like type 2 diabetes warrior. I don't want that to happen to anybody. Like I'm just like we got to stop this. We got to stop this insulin resistance. We got to stop this prediabetes. We got to stop type 2 diabetes. It is an issue in this country, guys. Guys, how many people in the country have type 2 diabetes? All right. Over 36 million Americans have type 2 diabetes. This total comes from data showing that roughly 4 million people live with all forms of diabetes in the United States, with type 2 counting type 2. Out of all the diabetes in this country, type 2 accounts for 90 to 95%. Wow. Jinkies. Over 115 million American adults have prediabetes, which raises the risk of type 2 diabetes. Like, it's something that has to be taken seriously. Like, it really, really does, you guys. Like, this is a problem. This is a problem. And if you're unfamiliar with what causes, like, what type 2 diabetes can kind of, like, snowball into, let's discuss. So the complications with type 2 diabetes, the reason why I'm like, it's not good. We need to stop this. We gotta fix this. It snowballs into, like, so many other issues. Like, if you have type 2 diabetes, you run the risk of getting, like, worse things happening to you. So like heart disease, other cardiovascular disease, hypertension, blindness, difficulty healing, which can lead to like losing limbs and stuff. Not that's so major. That severe diabetes is absolutely terrible. Okay, so don't be afraid. You can fix this. You can stop this now soon. Okay, fix your diet. Research what diet would work best for you for type 2 diabetes. For me, it was low carb or ketogenic. Okay, kidney disease. Did I say that already? Um, different types of cancer, because I think, hand in hand, type 2 diabetes and obesity, it happens. What else? I'll put an infographic of the other issues that's type 2 diabetes can snowball into. Okay. The specificity is important. The acceptance of fat is a radical demand. No, I rebuke that. And I don't think that, again, the fat acceptance thing, the normalization of obesity, we cannot accept it, you guys. We really can't. Do not give up this fight. Like, we cannot accept obesity or normalize obesity. If you are still obese, we got to do this together, you guys. We got to. You got to fix what you're eating, time your meals, right? Reduce. Think to yourself right now, is there something that you know that you shouldn't be eating that you're eating? And stop eating it. There. Obesity healed. For me personally, it is, I keep having the protein snacks, like the protein Pop-Tarts or like a protein bar, because I don't plan, and I need to plan. I don't plan my meals or anything like that. I need to like plan emergency meals, right? All right, you guys, that is it. We're gonna call it. What did you guys think? What was your most which take today annoyed you the most of today's episode of Fatlogical Friday? Mine was the Dr. Laramie excerpt. All right, but let me know in the comments below. What did you guys think? What is the most fat acceptance nonsense that you've heard this week? Let's start our own little fat logic excerpts here. What was something that you heard this week that you're like, Robin, you need to hear this is what I saw today on Instagram or this week on Instagram, because girl, it was crazy. Let me know. I want to chit, I want to chat, and I want to talk some trash with my homies. If you made it all the way to the end, please leave us I guess me and my dogs, please leave us a alien emoji in the comments below in honor of the Reddit alien. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. And if you didn't like the video, did you like it? And then did you actually like press the like button? If the video is giving you the option to hype, please hype it, because it really does help my channel out, because I'm trying to grow for y'all so I can do this more often. Okay? I hope you guys have a wonderful I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. No. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and goodbye.
Last day I knew you were my path.
I love you.